What's up, football heads? Welcome back to that show. I am Kyle. He is Cesar, and this is NOOB Football Picks.
We're
Cesar,
back.
let's dive into it. Thursday night football, Washington Commanders, Green Bay Packers, Lambeau Field. I don't know why they get 2 home games to start the season, but which means
Back
they get
to back.
less on the end of the season. So, Commanders, Packers, who you got?
I'm going Packers. I don't know why. I think that Micah Parsons is a difference maker in that defense. I think he's going to be the difference maker for the Packers, and it's going to make sure that the Commanders are not able to score as much points as they usually do. And I think the Packers are going to be able to get the win on Thursday Night Football in the Frozen Tundra, as you always call them.
Yeah, I'm picking the Packers, much as I don't want to. I just feel like Washington is not going to be as good as everyone is expecting them to be this year. Like, you don't go from the second worst team in the league to the NFC Championship game and not expect some kind of regression. They're going to have a harder schedule this year. Last year, obviously, they played a last place schedule. The East plays the NFC North, which was the toughest division in football last year. So they're gonna be more tested. I don't think they're going to be bad. I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs. I think I said this on the flagship show, but I don't know. I expect a little bit of fallback. I think this is going to be a good test for them. And
I wish both teams could lose because honestly, I don't care about the Commanders and I
they could
hate the
tie.
Packers. But that would be great. But it's not going to happen.
It could. You never know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. But yeah, I'm picking the Packers. I think they're going to be able to get it done. Commanders. It was fun. It was fun, but I don't, like you said, I don't think they're going to have as much luck this year as they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, week 1 wasn't really a test. The Giants. Let me look up their pressure rate. The Giants, they had 3 sacks against the Commanders, but only 4 pressures. So we'll see if Green Bay can get more pressure on Washington. But Washington, they got Laramie Tunsil. They beefed up the offensive line. So
Yeah.
this is going to be a good game to – I feel like neither one of these teams was really tested in week 1. I think this will be an interesting test case of where these teams might be deficient, or are they as good as it looked in week 1 against at least seemingly inferior opponents.
So hopefully it's actually a fun Thursday night football game to start the Thursday night football season. So,
well, it's a good matchup. It's better than Jets Jaguars or whatever. Jets Titans. That the type of shit we've been getting for years now. Al Michaels is not going to be in the bottle just yet. Give it time.
He's going to be excited. Yeah, first game, and then suddenly it's just like a sleeper where he's like no points being scored. Defense is just struggling. And it's just like, bam, screw this. I'm done. He might retire if it's bad.
What I'm hoping for, Mike Sainristil interception. That's what I want to see. Jordan Love, I feel like 80%, 82.5% of the time he's lights out, and then the other 17.5% of the time wildly inaccurate, throws interceptions all over the place. I love my Michigan man. Mike Sainristil had a great rookie season, so I'm hoping he could take one to the house, maybe swing the momentum. But I'm picking the Packers. I just think they're more poised for success right now.
0 sacks on Jaden Daniels. That's my prediction of this game.
I can see. I mean, the Packers.
He's a good scrambler. And there's going to be a lot of pressure. I feel like the Packers are going to put a lot of pressure in the pass rush, but I do not think they're going to be able to get Jaden Daniels, for loss of jars and stuff like that, being sack and stuff.
I'm trying to think of the NFC North schedule last year. How many running quarterbacks that we played? Obviously, Caleb Williams is, but to me, Caleb and Jaden Daniels are a bit different. Jaden Daniels, I feel like, runs knowing what he's doing, whereas Caleb is kind of like everything just breaks down, and he just, at least against the Vikings, he took 68 sacks last year, which is 4 sacks a game, which is insane. But against the Vikings, he slips out and around. The Vikings had a league high 15 pressures against
Jeez.
Caleb, only 2 sacks, and one of them Caleb stepped out of bounds. So like he slips around and moves around and does stuff. Whereas Jaden Daniels, I feel like he's much
It's got
closer
the
to like,
VR reflexes.
yeah, exactly. He's much more like Lamar to me, where like he runs knowing where he's running and what he's doing. And then they do more designed runs. I don't feel like Caleb really gets too many designed runs. So we'll see if the Packers defense, if they can handle it, because I don't think they, at least in the last couple of years, I don't feel like the NFC North teams, we've been challenged too much by running quarterbacks, and that's really what kind of sets Jaden Daniels apart from most of these guys. Is he's a great passer, but it's even worse because like you have to contain him, and
Yep.
you don't really have to contain Jared Goff too much. He ain't doing too much scrambling, so.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a joke. It was like, if you're a white quarterback, you're gonna stay in the pocket no matter what and get sacked. If you're a black quarterback, oh, you're scrambling, you're running the fuck out of there.
The
I
times have
don't.
changed. They say Michael Penix isn't very mobile, and you got like even like Sam Darnold last year. I hadn't watched a ton of Sam Darnold because why the hell am I gonna watch the Jets and the Panthers? But I was surprised by how mobile he was. I feel like nowadays, like everybody's mobile.
They
I don't
try
know
to
what it
be.
is. Yeah,
They
at least
try
to
to be.
some degree. Like you got to have
It
some
has
kind of escapability.
the game has evolved to the point where like you're gonna get pressured. Your pocket might collapse. You better know how to move around and scramble around. So
Yeah.
you have to.
All right. Next up, the Sunday slate: the Los Angeles Rams at the Tennessee Titans.
I mean, come on. No disrespect to Tennessee, but the Rams should win this game on paper. There's nothing about Tennessee that says, hey, you know what? They might get this. They might win this game. Injuries aside, I think the Rams should be able to win this game easily. But since the Titans are in the middle of a rebuild, new head coach, new everything, maybe they get this done. I mean, they have a new head coach, right? Am I?
Titans? No, they still got Brian Callahan.
Oh well, new quarterback. That's what they have. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I believe the Rams are just going to be able to win this game easily. Maybe not easily, but they should be able to win it comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough on offense for them last week, but Houston obviously is a top-tier defense, so it's to some extent expected. And this is why I said the Titans, you always want to have a bridge quarterback. I don't care how much you believe in the rookie, because week 1, you got to play the Broncos defense, which is disgusting. And now week 2, not that maybe the Rams defense isn't elite, but Jared Verse is elite. So, like, I just wouldn't want my rookie quarterback having to deal with this early. My prediction would be Jared Verse gets a sack in here, but you got to pick the Rams. I think the only hope for the Titans is
The running game.
that I think defensively that my boy Tavondre Sweat, the planet-sized mutant, that he clogs up the holes. Kyron Williams can't get going. You got to force Stafford to pass more maybe than they want to, earlier than they want to. And as great as Puka Nacua is, as great as Devontae Adams is, Matt Stafford, every once in a while, he's going to throw some picks. So the Titans are going to have to be perfect in their execution of creating the momentary mistakes and capitalizing on it. But I don't see it happening. I think the Rams get the win.
Fuck the Rams too on that.
Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, the 1-0 Jacksonville Jaguars, headed to Cincinnati to play the Bengals.
Another big cat game for the big cat Jaguars. Last week they faced the Panthers. Now they're facing the Bengals. I'm going Bengals. If the Jaguars surprise me, good on them. Happy for them. Happy for the new head coach. Happy for Trevor Lawrence. Happy for Etienne. But honestly, I believe the Bengals are going to get this done. I believe the Bengals are going to start strong this season. They're going to continue to be strong this season. And by that, I mean they got to win this first games of the season. They might flounder in the middle, but I believe that this season they're going to be able to get some wins. So I believe the Bengals are going to get this done. We'll see what happens. That defense needs a lot of work, but I think they're going to be able to get it done. It will be a surprise if the Jaguars win. I would not be, it wouldn't be surprising too much, but I believe the Bengals can win this. Let me rephrase that. So yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati, they completely changed their offseason approach with training camp and preseason, specifically because they've been so bad early in the season. And then obviously they beat the Browns, but
Early.
yeah, I mean, defensively, I guess they gave up less points than maybe you'd expect, but there was just a lot of weird stuff. Flacco hitting guys in the hands, and they just fling the ball in the air, and it gets picked off. The Bengals' offense did not look tight at all. Granted, the Browns do have an understated defense. So I'd lean Bengals in that regard, but I do think the Bengals still have some pretty significant offensive line issues, and the Jaguars do have some legit pass rushers. I think that's going to be the key for Jacksonville is just get after Joe Burrow and just keep him on his heels so they can't just sling the ball 80 yards downfield to Jamar Chase 15 times and T. Higgins another 12 times. I'm tempted either way here, and I'm going to pick the Jags because I'm all in on Duval this season, but also because the Bengals then play my Vikings in week 3. So I feel like if the Bengals are 2-0, it's probably a bigger likelihood that the Vikings beat them. There's no good statistical logic to that. It's just gut feeling. So I feel like if the Jags win, the Bengals are going to try and bounce back. So I'm going to pick the Jags. I'm going to go with my Jaguars. I think the pass rush gets it done. I think Trevor Lawrence continues to grow into the new system. It's a good matchup for him. The defense for the Bengals is not great. I think he's going to sling it around, and I think the Jags get it done.
All right. That's the first disagreement of the season in terms of the picks. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see if Mr. Cohen is able to get it done.
Oh, he's going to get it done. Next up, we got a divisional matchup, AFC North, Cleveland Browns coming off the tough loss, headed to the Baltimore Ravens coming off possibly and probably a tougher loss.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to get their comeback. So, they're going to be able to win this game, but it's going to be a close one. I don't think it's going to be one of those, Giants versus like David. It's going to be one of those games where it's going to be really close as well. But the Ravens are going to be able to come back and get a win after that heartbreaking season for Ravens fans. Season opener, for Ravens fans. Last Sunday night against the Bills. So I'm picking the Ravens. But it's going to be a close game, and Joe Flacco is going to continue to be an excellent quarterback at his age.
I'm tempted to pick the Browns here just because I feel like week 1 for the Ravens this year was very reminiscent of week 1 last year for the Ravens against the Chiefs. And then they end up going 0-2, losing to the Raiders, who were pretty bad last year. The Browns were all expecting to be pretty bad this year. But I got to pick the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to come back with a vengeance, and they're going to hang at least 4 touchdowns on the Browns defense.
The Browns defense and the pass rush is really good, but that offense for the Ravens is just it's an armored truck, it's a tank. Yeah, it's going to be tough for the Browns defense to contain them. So I believe that's going to be the winning factor for the Ravens this game.
You got the best quarterback to deal with a good pass rush because Lamar is both. He just slips into the matrix sometimes. He disappears and he's like Nightcrawler. He disappears and reappears somewhere else. And then Derrick Henry obviously is probably shit pissed about that fumble. As good of a game, what do you have? 18 carries,
Yeah,
167 yards, 2 touchdowns, and all anyone's going to talk about is the
it's a
fumble.
fumble. Yeah,
So I think Derrick Henry is a tank that somehow runs like a 4.4, and now he's pissed off. So yeah,
he's on a mission.
I if the Browns win, I'm not gonna be shocked. Like I said, I just there's weird stuff in the air with that. Sometimes history repeats itself, but I ain't no way I'm picking against the Ravens after what happened to them.
Sorry, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it might be tough sledding for old footsteps Flacco. Next up, we got another divisional matchup: AFC East, Buffalo Bills, New Jersey Jets.
I mean, is there any doubt that the Bills are going to be the winners of that division this season?
If Josh Allen
After
gets hurt, that's it. And if he's healthy the
you're
whole
you're
year,
just you're just trying to manifest that happening by just
I'm
mentioning it a
not.
single
I'm just
time.
saying. You said, is there any way that the Buffalo
Yeah, that's
Bills
true.
don't win That's the way. That's the only way. If he's healthy, they're not going to lose the division. They're already everyone else lost. They won. Like
My,
it's.
hey, you said that. Now my concern is that they're going to be at MetLife, and we don't know what happens at MetLife. It's
Oh
a
God,
horrible
that's that.
place.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
a
no.
horrible place. But I'm picking the Bills. I'm picking the Bills to continue to dominate. The Jets, they had a great game against the Steelers last week. I believe this is going to be a good game for them too. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was for this versus the Steelers, but it's not going to be one of those, one of those crushings and beat downs like Colts and Dolphins last week. I think it's just going to be one of those games where it might be close at the start, but then Bills like just gonna take advantage and just roll with it and just win the game after all. So that's my pick and that's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm on the Bills. You can't pick against the Bills at this point, but this is one of those cases. I'm curious to see with the Jets. Week one happens and Fields looked really good and they scored a bunch of points, but the defense, who has been the strength of the Jets team, looked rough. But you got the Aaron Rodgers revenge factor. Like, how much of what we saw in week one is going to carry over into this game throughout the season, and how much of that was just the storylines? Like Justin Fields looking for revenge on the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers looking for revenge on the Jets. So I want to see how the Jets defense responds. I mean, like Josh Allen's going to get his, but can you avoid Josh Allen dropping another 40 points on you? Can you only give up 27 points or something like 24 points? And I don't know. The other thing I want to see is Keon Coleman had a monster game. Like I think we talked about this on the other show. He only had 29 catches last year. He had 8 in week one, 110 yards. He had that really nice touchdown making the adjustment. Can Keon Coleman
Yeah,
continue to turn that corner and continue to show why he was drafted as highly as he was? So I'm looking forward to that. I'm picking the Bills. I do hope that the Jets offense continues, because like we always end up getting these Jets primetime games that nobody wants to see. So like at least if Fields is playing good, even if they're a bad team, if Fields is playing well and they can put up some points, at least it'll be exciting. It's not going to be Zach Wilson Jets on Thursday night football against the 0-14 Jaguars or the 2-12 Titans every fucking week. So I'm rooting for you, Justin. I was always a Justin Fields guy. I'm rooting for the Bills, but I'm rooting for the Jets to at least not be horribly unentertaining television.
just make it fun. Just make it at least a competitive game. At least for the half of the game.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got another AFC East matchup: 0-1 Patriots, 0-1 Dolphins. Who you got?
Poseidon himself will need to come out of the ocean, land on Miami Beach, spear Mike McDaniels with a fucking trident, and drag him to the depths of Davy Jones' locker in the Caribbean or the Atlantic Sea, whatever the hell he wants to be, in order for the Dolphins to win this game. I'm picking the Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots. Fuck the Dolphins. The Dolphins are dead to me. I will never pick Dolphins again for the rest of my life. We get 50 years from now when we're doing this show in 3D VR on Mars. I will not pick the Miami Dolphins. Vrabel is an actual football coach. Mike McDaniel is a snake oil salesman. And just you don't get beat down that bad in week one. Like maybe they bounce back. Maybe they're so embarrassed that they bounce back. But if they bounce back, guess what? It's a dead cat bounce, and then they're going to lose their next 5 after that. The Dolphins, dead to me. They should be dead to everyone else. Patriots, Drake May, Vrabel, the rest of the boys, just go there, get it done. Stephon Diggs, whole time with the Bills, killed the Dolphins. Let's keep that going. I'm setting my hatred of Stephon Diggs to the side. That I'm rooting for Diggs to have 250 yards in this game. That's how much I hate the Dolphins.
Hey, the key to win this game for the Patriots is this: just stay hydrated on that sideline. You know, it's a 1 o'clock game. We don't know about that stadium. We don't know about how it's designed for the opposing team, the visiting team, to just burn in hell. That's the son of Miami. So, stay hydrated, keep it cool, and just dominate on the field. They had a good game last week against the Raiders. It was a close game. The Raiders ended up winning. But I feel like the Patriots should be able to get this done and give Mike Vrabel his first victory as a head coach of the Patriots.
Yeah, I think the sideline thing that's a fair point because it's early in the season, so we're still in the lingering days of summer down there, and Geno carved up the Pats secondary, 367 yards, I want to say. So maybe Tua bounces back, maybe all the stuff with Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek doesn't want to be there. There's weird tension. He's not a captain. Tua was making veiled comments about him. He's got a domestic issue with his ex-wife. So maybe Jaden Waddle goes off. I don't know, but I'm picking
he's
the
got so many issues. And then Tua is making weird comments about the picks and the turnovers, and like he's just like, that's part of the game. It's like, no, it shouldn't be part of the game. If the defense is able to get it done, good. But you are turning the ball over. You are throwing the pick. It's not like you're being hit to cause forced fumbles. It's not like you're having to struggle and make impossible passes. You're just making horrible passes and you're getting picked off. So no, get your stuff together to get your stuff together if you want to do something important this season. Because
he's a streaky shooter, so maybe the turnovers continue. Maybe he bounces back entirely. I don't know. We'll see. But I can't pick the Dolphins. Just can't do it.
Dan Marino Jr. has to come in and like change that team. But I don't know if Dan Marino even has a kid. So whatever.
They need Ace Ventura to come in there to change that team.
They need somebody to steal the fucking dolphin mascot.
They deserve it. All right, next up we got the San Francisco 49ers, or whatever's left of them that's not in the hospital at this point. Headed to the Superdome to play the New Orleans Saints. Who you got?
I got the Niners simply because the Saints are still filling it out. If the Saints are able to win this game, it will be because of the injuries that the 49ers are suffering through yet again this season. But I had the Niners winning this game. Like I said in the previous episode we were talking about last week's games, Kellen Moore has a lot of work to do with the Saints. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a team that's rebuilding. It's a team that's struggling in multiple places on both sides of the ball. So I don't think they're able to get it done unless, the injuries are too important and they actually have a bigger impact for the Niners and they're not able to, work around it to win. So that's my pick. 49ers are going to win this game despite the injuries.
The Saints, they hung in there. They almost tied it up at the end. Going up against a competitive Cardinals team. We'll see how the Cardinals end up. The Cardinals were pretty solid last year, so I'm so tempted to take the Saints here. But like you said, they're feeling things out. They're figuring things out. This could be a Mac Jones legacy game, right here because
Oh
now
God.
he's the whole. You got to remember the whole deal was in 2021 in the draft, the 49ers trade up, top 3 pick, and all the buzz was they love Mac Jones. They want Mac Jones. Mac Jones is the perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's system, what Shanahan likes to do. The skill sets marry, and then they fell in love with Trey Lance, which was a mistake. I'm not going to go into a diatribe about drafting quarterbacks that only started 1 year in college, and especially with Trey Lance, started like 9 games in college. But the raw physical tools that everyone falls in love with. But now Mac Jones is in San Francisco, and I mean he's had his moments. His rookie year, he was pretty solid. Last year in Jacksonville was, I mean, I know you have some affinity for Doug Peterson, but the game has passed him by. I think Mac
Yeah.
is finally whatever is going to become of Mac Jones. This is one of like 3 or 4 spots that he could. It's like here, Cleveland, Minnesota, and the Rams that are like designed to get the best out of Mac Jones. So I think we'll see. There's still enough talent there. Fred Warner's playing. Nick Bosa's playing. There's enough guys that they should be able to handle just a bad Saints team.
Yeah, they should be able to. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think despite the injuries, I think they're able to work around it. I mean, it all depends on Purdy. I mean, if he's good to go, then I think they should have no issues whatsoever. Their defense is still, they have no injuries, major injuries so far. So we'll see what happens.
All right, next up we got NFC East matchup: the New Jersey Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Who you got?
Bounce back for the Cowboys. It's just simple. I'm not going to waste my time here. Giants are, as an organization and as a team, they're just a giant mess. And unless they start Jameis Winston, I don't think they're going to win this game. And even if they start Jameis Winston, I don't think they're going to win this game, but it'll probably be a little closer than starting Russell Wilson. Now, if Russell Wilson decides to wake up and play football and, try to beat Russell Wilson of the past, Seahawks Russell Wilson, then I don't think they're going to win this. Cowboys are at home. They're in the AT&T Stadium, Jerry World. So they're looking to start a new season. They're healthy. They're ready to go. They look good against the Eagles, defending champs. So I'm picking the Cowboys. I think it's going to be not dominant, but a statement victory for the Cowboys, saying, "Hey, we're not shit. We're not a bad team. Just we're facing the Giants, but we held our own against Eagles last week. We lost, but we held our own. And those mistakes that happen, those drop passes, I think Cedar's going to have one of those games where he just makes sure, say, hey, I can still catch the ball. That was just bad karma.
Yeah, I mean, CD, he still had 7 catches for 110 yards. Like he still had a good game, but it's kind of like the Derrick Henry thing. Like you just think about the key drops and the key moments. But the downfall of Russell Wilson, man, I've heard 3 different people talk about this in almost the exact same way. So I will be the 4th to come on a show on YouTube and make the same comment. He wasn't the answer for Denver. He wasn't the answer for Pittsburgh. He ain't going to be the answer for the Giants. I said this on the other show. Start Jameis. Let Jackson Dart get some seasoning. Don't throw him into the fire too soon. There's no reason to. Jameis is a 50-50 guy. He's going to throw a bunch of picks, but he's going to throw a bunch of touchdowns. You're going to win some games. You're going to lose some games, but at least you're going to win some games. Russ is cooked. And you hate seeing guys that were so good because like Russ abused the Vikings for like a decade. I remember when we finally beat Seattle, I think it was 2021. I didn't know what to do with myself. Like we had lost to Seattle literally, I think every time we played them for, I want to say 12 years straight. And then since then, he's fallen off completely. He doesn't look like Russ. I don't see it. Again, the defensive front, you got Sexy Dexter, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, you got Brian Burns, you got Abdul the Butcher. Like they could get after Dak if they can get through that offensive line. Because, again, you had no Jalen Carter for the Eagles. They lost Sweat in the offseason, but the Eagles could not get any pressure on Dak. The
That's true.
Cowboys' offensive line, I don't care if they're winning 12 games, 7 games, 5 games, if Jerry Jones is doing press conferences, cursing out agents, drilling oil. I don't care. Whatever's going on in the Cowboys, the one constant is they have a monster offensive line. So I think if anybody is in position to slow down the Giants' defensive front, it's the Cowboys. So I think if you can neutralize a bad team's best unit, what chance do they have? It's the Cowboys. I've been saying it for months now. People sleep on the Cowboys because they had an injury-riddled season last year on the heels of winning 12 games 3 straight years. The Cowboys are going to be better than people think. They're better than the Giants now. They're at home. They lost all those home games last year. That's one of those like freak weird things that they're not going to lose 7 straight home games or whatever it was. And the Cowboys, they'll get it done.
I hate it, but yeah.
It is what it is. How about them Cowboys? Great docuseries, by the way. I don't care if Jerry Jones had final cut and he was in control of the narrative. Let that man produce more docuseries about whatever he wants.
I hit you up about it. I hit you up about it. Like, I'm not obviously I'm an Eagles fan, but that was one of the best documentaries I ever seen. I was not a fan during that time period. I was a kid in Puerto Rico, just knowing that American football existed, but I was never paying attention to the sport. I was just too small, like I wasn't watching. I wasn't a fan. So it was a great history lesson, and it was great to see the characters of the Cowboys of that era. So it was a great docuseries. I enjoyed it.
It was very rough having to relive I wasn't watching really hardly at all either back then, but I wasn't even. I guess I was. I don't think I actually was born yet when the Herschel Walker trade happened. That's like one of the as a Vikings fan, you watch that, and even 35, 36 years later, it's just like, what were we thinking? Like, oh yeah, they're not going to cut the guys and get all the draft picks and draft a bunch of Hall of Famers, including Emmitt Smith, the all-time leading rusher. We could have just drafted Emmitt Smith and kept all the players and the draft picks. But no, we got to get Herschel Walker. Oh my God. I mean, it's fine. It all worked out. Whatever. There's an interesting history between the Cowboys and Vikings. They came into the league at the same time, and they just have these interlinked. The term Hail Mary comes from a Cowboys Vikings game where Drew Pearson pushed off. I don't want to hear it from anybody. You look up the original Hail Mary. There is not a single clip of that moment where the camera doesn't cut at the precise moment that Drew Pearson, you see him get his hands up on the guy's back, and then it cuts around to the other side so you can't see it, and the defender just falls down and he catches the ball. They have scrubbed all evidence that Drew Pearson pushed off. That should have never happened. The Herschel Walker trade, those 3 championships, those were our championships. The Vikings should be 12-time Super Bowl champions. And we will be under the leadership of Jonathan James. But I digress. We'll move on to the NFC North. The Chicago Bears against the Detroit Lions, 2 0-1 teams. Detroit at home. Do they bounce back? Does Chicago bounce back? Who you got?
I feel that the Lions are going to bounce back because they're at home. That home crowd, it's a very important part of the culture for that team right now. So I feel like they're going to be able to take advantage of that and be able to capitalize and get the Bears, patch some kneecaps off. It's not going to be a dominant game. This is a different Lions team. They have some losses in personnel and in players. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit tough for them to get to be as dominant as they were the past couple of seasons. But it's going to be one of those games where it's a divisional game. You got the Bears who are also trying to make improvements, and they made improvements. We saw them in that Vikings game on Monday. So I believe that it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be fun, close, and I believe the Lions are going to get it done.
Here's my go-to stat for this. The Chicago Bears gave up a league-high 15 pressures to the Minnesota Vikings in week 1 in primetime. Caleb Williams was running for his life, and that is when he's at his best. In fact, that's the only time he's actually good is when he's under pressure. But again, he averaged 4 sacks a game last year, which is obscene. The Detroit Lions against Green Bay, do you know how many sacks, do you know how many pressures Detroit had against Green Bay?
0.
0.
None. Nada.
Aiden Hutchinson ain't going to let that happen 2 weeks in a row. Aiden Hutchinson's going to get at least 2 sacks. I would love to see Tyleik Williams get in there, introduce himself to the NFL. I think they're going to get after Caleb, and unlike the Vikings, who just could not get Caleb on the ground, Detroit, they're going to find a way to get Caleb on the ground. Caleb played a clean game. Caleb does not throw a lot of interceptions. I think that's one thing that goes very understated in his game for all the he makes all the great crazy plays, to the flip side of, well, he can't play in structure. He takes too many sacks. He does not throw a lot of picks, but he will fumble that ball. Detroit, I think they got off to a rough start. Green Bay has a super talented roster. They got a lot of juice. I feel like you trade for a guy like Micah Parsons, and if you're a Green Bay fan, it's like, oh my God. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a Packers fan, and he's like, my entire body has been buzzing ever since. He's like, I feel like I've been drunk for a week. And it makes sense. You're a fan, your team trades for a big when you guys got Saquon Barkley, you're like, oh my God, but I think it goes the same for the locker room. You right before the season, you go get a guy like Micah Parsons. I feel like it tells your team, especially for Green Bay, who historically they don't make big signings, they don't make big trades. They don't draft receivers in the first round. They finally draft a receiver in the first round. They go out, they make a monster trade for Micah Parsons right before the season. I think that tells the guys in the locker room, the organization from top to bottom is all in on us winning right now. And I think that fires you up. So I think they came out hot and just took it to Detroit. Detroit has some things to work through. Ragnow retires. Zeitler goes to the Titans. Ratledge and Mahogany are figuring it out up front. But I like those two guys. I trust Detroit's offensive coaching and development to figure that out. And I don't know, Chicago, they got some interesting pass rush pieces, but they're not going to be able to rush the passer the way Green Bay was. So I just think Jared Goff's going to be more comfortable. He's going to pick the Bears apart. I think they're going to start out hotter. I think the Bears are going to reel a little bit from last week, and then I think by the end of the game, the Bears will start to put it together a little bit. I think Ben Johnson, he might be in his head a little bit about trying to stick it to Detroit a little bit, whereas Dan Campbell, I don't think he's worried about that. Dan Campbell, you got to have grit, man. You just got to go out and score touchdowns, man. Everything's going to be okay. So I'm on Detroit.
You just got to go for on fourth down instead of taking the field goal, man.
That's something I'm interested to see is, was that more of a Ben Johnson thing or more of a Dan Campbell thing? I think it might have been both, but Ben Johnson went for it on fourth down in the first quarter against Minnesota and didn't get it, and then he was very risk averse after that. So I'm curious to see how that plays out over the course of the season. Who really was the gambler, or was it just both of them have that same mindset?
Jerry Jones?
Yeah, the gambler and his Cowboys. All right, next up we got Seattle Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Who you got?
I got the Steelers. The Aaron Rodgers revenge tour continues. He's going to win that game. He's going to beat the Seahawks, and he's going to be able to let the fans in Pittsburgh with the terrible towels know that, hey, I got you. Just trust me. I'll be here for you. I'll make things happen for you. I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to get this game, and he's going to parade the Steelers into a victory.
This is an interesting one. Aaron Rodgers has an interesting history against the Seahawks. You got DK Metcalf going against his old team. Is he going to want some revenge? I don't know that it was necessarily like an ugly divorce, but you go against your old team, even if you got nothing but love for him. Like you want to kind of show him, like, yeah, you should have never let me go. Even if he wanted to leave, like you're going to want to stick it to him. The Seahawks coming into the year, maybe of all the teams in the league, were the team that I had the least sense of what they're going to be. I like the defense, but I don't know. It's a question mark. I feel like Sam Darnold played a clean game against San Francisco, but he didn't really like do a lot. Like he wasn't like Kevin O'Connell unleashed Sam Darnold last year. So I don't think you could look at week one and say, oh, he regressed because he doesn't have Kevin O'Connell and they have a defensive head coach. So I'm curious to see what Sam Darnold looks like. Jackson Smith and Jigba did have a monster game. Can they get Cooper Kupp more involved?
I think the Seahawks are in rebuilding stage, so
they won 10 games last year.
No, but right now, they changed the quarterback, they changed the head coach.
They got the same coach they had last year.
Why?
They're just a weird
Pete
team.
Carroll
like
was not the head coach last season.
No, he was out all last year. It was Mike McDonald. Like
Jesus Christ,
it's weird. Like
this is why I'm a new football fan.
They had a good team and they had a good record last year, but you never felt like they were really like you knew Detroit and Minnesota were good teams. You knew Green Bay was good. You knew Philly was good. The Washington Commanders, by the end of the year, everyone bought them as being a good team. Tampa Bay is always a threat. The Rams were like, I feel like despite the fact that Seattle was right there as a 10-win team, I don't feel like you ever bought them as being in that caliber. And they don't really have, in terms of like statistical or situational regression, there's not a ton of stuff that like, oh, they had a lot of injuries or, oh, they had a ton of sack. Like there's nothing that you look at and say like, that's bound to regress. I think I'm going to pick the Seahawks. I just because I don't know what they're going to be. And I feel like I want more games where we don't agree. I'm not going to be surprised if the Steelers win, but I don't know. I want to feel something about Seattle. If Seattle loses this game and gets blown out, then they're going to be on my shit list, and then I at least feel something about them. If they win, then they're on my hit list, and I might keep picking them. So I'm going with Seattle.
Listen, all I remember from the Seahawks last season was the fact that every time I picked them to win, they lose, and every time I picked them to lose, they win. So
yeah, see if that continues.
I hate that. No, well, hopefully not, because last week I picked the Niners to win and they won. So hopefully that. I mean, hopefully that's not the case this season. Yeah, it was a close game. I still feel like the Steelers are going to be able to get it done. Steelers defense is really good, and Aaron Rodgers proved to be the missing piece for Mike Tomlin to at least get some things going offensively. So we'll see.
I said this last year. Everyone was clowning Rodgers, and every time I tuned in to a Jets game, I felt like there was just moments where he still had some of that magic. So I don't know if it's going to be as good as it was week one throughout the season. There's a lot of revenge fuel in there, but Rodgers has more in the tank than I think most people felt like coming into the season. But I am going to pick Seattle.
All right.
Next up, we got a battle of the horses. The Denver Broncos and your Indianapolis Colts coming off an absolute just shellacking, a beatdown, a mollywhopping of the Miami team.
You're going to hate me. But I'm going with Danny Dimes.
Oh, boy.
And the Colts. They're winning this game, and they're doing it, and they're dominating this game, too. That's my prediction. They're going to dominate the Broncos.
They're going to Wow. All right. I got 4 words for you. You ready?
Yeah,
I'm going to sum this game up in 4 words. Broncos country. Let's ride. The Dolphins defense is light years from the Broncos defense. Danny Dimes, he he left up at a QB rehab school too early, and it looked great in the first game going up against a JV team in Miami. It ain't the same with the Broncos. I know it's at home, it's in the Loud House in Indianapolis, but I
With that
think
stupid ass mascot.
Bo Nix is going to bounce back. I still think I would love to see my boy Cam Beasley get another interception because I love me some Cam Beasley. I want to see what celebrations he's got in store for us this season. So we'll say Bo Nix 1 interception, but he's going to have 3 touchdown passes. He's going to bounce back in terms of his completion percentage. We're going to get RJ Harvey involved, and he's going to get at least 12 touches, and he's going to bust one. I don't know if it's going to be a run or a little catch out of the backfield, but he's going to bust one for at least 25 yards, and the Broncos defense is just going to absolutely abuse your boy Indiana Jones, and the Broncos are going to pull out the dub.
I don't see it. I believe the Colts are going to dominate this game, and they're going to continue to dominate. They're going to be the New Orleans Saints of this season.
Bad?
You remember last? You remember last season where the New Orleans Saints?
They're gonna
the first 3 games.
Yo, that was so weird. It just doesn't even make sense how or why that happened, but I don't know. I think you're nuts. Broncos country, we're riding, baby. Cortland Sutton's gonna get in the end zone.
Yeah, sure.
All right, next up we got the Carolina Panthers, Arizona Cardinals. For some reason, this to me is just like I have no interest in this game at all.
The battle of the twink quarterback. Just so 2 small, childlike quarterbacks running around trying not to get sacked. And I have 0 interest in this game either. But I'm picking the Cardinals just because I think the Panthers are just trying to figure themselves out still. So I'm picking Cardinals because they show some really good improvement in this past season, this past week, in the opening week, the opening game. Like I said in the other show, I think finally we see Kyler Murray and Harrison Jr. getting some chemistry together, and I feel like we're going to continue to see more of that, and it's going to just continue to build up. So I'm picking the Cardinals. Hopefully I'm right, but yeah, I believe the Cardinals are going to be able to win this game, especially since the Panthers are not, they're not there yet. I think they're still trying to figure themselves out yet again.
See, the Cardinals, they just hung on against the team that I think a lot of people feel like is the worst team in football, and the New Orleans Saints, and they barely beat them. They were in control throughout the game, but they let them hang around. The Saints had 5 sacks, but at the same time, Carolina had 0 sacks, 1 pressure. So, their defense is still, if you want to be kind, a work in progress. And I expected Carolina to carry over some of that momentum and maybe be a little surprising here early in the season. And I don't know. It was rough. I think this game, I could see it going either way. I think it should be close and probably relatively uninteresting, but I'm going to pick the Cardinals. It looked too rough for the Panthers for me to say, they're going to bounce back.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
All right, next up we got your Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch headed to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, they're fighting on the sideline. They're blowing games. The Eagles,
they're blowing shoulders too.
Yeah.
Dislocating shoulders.
Eagles did not look at their best last week, but it's a divisional rivalry. Jalen Carter gets ejected, obviously. I think the Cowboys are going to be better than most. Eagles, Chiefs.
No offense to your Vikings and the Falcons, but how is this game not a Sunday Night Football game? How is this game not on prime time? It's America's game of the week. I'll give them that. But how is this not the Sunday Night Football
I think it's a negotiated thing, like that. Fox and CBS, I think they look at the schedule and they're allowed to pick certain games that they want. there's some negotiation process where like they can't just put all the best games in prime time because Fox and CBS are paying so much money as well that like
Yeah,
they
sure.
get a pick of certain things. I mean, you're right. Like this feels like it should be Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, but
Well, either way, I digress. Of course, I'm picking the Eagles. Like you said last week, divisional rival. Carter was ejected. Brown was hurt. He was still feeling that hamstring injury, yeah, so he couldn't get open. And the Dallas Cowboys, as a divisional opponent, they know how to cover us. So it was going to be tough either way, regardless of how it was going to go down. But since we have the Chiefs now, we've been put bell to ass in the Super Bowl. I still believe the score was 46. I don't count those garbage time touchdowns and points that he scored at the end of the Super Bowl as actual points when he was against our backups. I believe the Eagles are going to be able to win this game. Most people believe, oh, well, it's their Super Bowl rematch. Most of the time, the losing team wins, and that's not really the case. I just saw a list today of like the last couple of Super Bowl rematches, and most of them, the actual champion won the rematch. So I don't think the Chiefs are okay. Like I said in the other show, they're just trouble in paradise. They're arguing in the sidelines. They're arguing with each other. Defense arguing with each other. Offense arguing with each other. Travis Kelsey injuring his fellow opponents. Like it's just they're not clicking. They are not in a good place. And I really hope they do not fix those issues this week. I hope those issues continue, and I hope the Eagles win easily. But of course, it's not going to be easy. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's the Chiefs. It's going to be one of those games where it's going to be like, all right, who's going to win this? But I have faith in my Eagles, and I believe they're going to get it done, especially with Jalen Carter back on the picture.
this is one of those weird things where like if you're the Chiefs, you get a Friday game, you get 2 extra days to prepare, but you're playing the Eagles who played on Thursday who get 3 extra days to prepare. So it kind of it negates the mini bye for both of them a little bit. It is in Kansas City, so I think that's a factor. There, of course, is the revenge factor. They want to get because they didn't just get beat by Philly; they got the shit kicked out of them. Like it was not even close. They were embarrassed.
It was a work of the football gods.
And I think this is going to be a good judge of that. If they bounce back and they beat the Eagles, even if they just edge them out by a late field goal or something like that,
Good for them.
it shows them the fight that they have the capacity to bounce back. If they get beat, then the Eagles just absolutely dominating them in the Super Bowl might be a sign of like they may have done critical damage to the Chiefs franchise. As long as you got Mahomes, like you're gonna be relevant. They're gonna bounce back at some point eventually. But in terms of this season, I think for the Eagles, if they win or lose, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna win 12 plus games and probably maybe it depends on the schedule because the Eagles are the first team in NFL history to play every conference playoff team from the previous year.
Yeah, it's a
Insane.
tough schedule. Yeah,
It's a
it's a
tough
tough
schedule.
schedule.
So, but they're a good team. So like they're
Yeah.
gonna be in it. I don't win or lose. I don't think this says too much about the Eagles. But if the Chiefs lose this game, I think it might say a lot about the Chiefs. And I'm gonna go out on the limb and I'm gonna say that they lose and the Eagles win. And the Chiefs eventually gonna bounce back. I think they'll win double-digit games, but this might be the like, all right, they're not going to win the division this year. They're in a hole and they'll start to dig out of it, but I don't know if they're going to catch the Chargers or the Broncos or both.
I believe so. I believe that they have a lot of issues to work out. I'm not going to say that, like I said in the other show, I don't think the dynasty is over. I'm not going to predict it. I'm not going to say, oh, they're done. They're not going to go back to the Super Bowl. But they definitely have a lot of issues that they need to work on. And if they do not work on them fast, it's going to be a slow start to the season for them, and it's going to affect them at the end of the season when it comes time to, for it comes to seeding and the playoffs. So we'll see.
All
Go
right,
Birds.
next up, we got Sunday night football. The Atlanta Falcons traveling north to the true north, to God's country, Minneapolis, Minnesota, to take on my Minnesota Vikings.
I got
Falcons,
you.
Vikings. Who you got?
I got the Vikings. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to argue in favor of the Falcons for any reason whatsoever. They had a good showing against Tampa Bay. Like I said in the other show, I believe that division is going to be between those two teams. It's going to be a close one this season. I don't think it's going to be, Tampa Bay dominating and just, winning the division, early in the season. I think it's going to be close to them. Um, this is going to be an interesting game. I would like to see more from Michael Penix and see how he handles another good team. So we'll see what happens. But I believe the Vikings are going to get this done. They're going to win. We'll probably see another great JJ McCarthy performance
I,
in prime
NFC
time.
Offensive Player of the Week, baby. God's quarterback. As is customary, I will not pick this game. However, I will leave you with some things to think about in regards to the potential outcome of this game. The Falcons against Tampa Bay had 3 pressures, and the Vikings had 15 pressures, as I said a couple times. The Vikings gave up 7 pressures and 3 sacks to the Bears. However, it is worth pointing out, I have been complaining about the interior of the offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings, specifically in regards to pass rush and protecting against the pass rush for over a decade. Every single year. Why are we not addressing the interior offensive line? Why are we not fixing this? Why are we not drafting someone higher? I don't care if it's not sexy. Take a guard in the first round. They finally take Garrett Bradbury, a center, in the first round. Oh, but he's an undersized center because we want to run outside zone. That ain't going to get it done. We have to protect the passer on the interior so they go out. Finally, after they got absolutely just destroyed, bodied by the Rams. 9 sacks in that playoff game against the Rams. Sam Darnold, and part of that's on Sam Darnold because he holds the ball a lot because he's always looking for the deep shot. But 9 sacks. So they finally, Kevin O'Connell went in the press conference after the game. He said, we have to get better on the interior. So they go out. They signed Ryan Kelly, a former Pro Bowl center. They signed Will Fries, an up-and-coming, he was the top guard to hit the open market. They draft Donovan Jackson out of the Ohio State University. And between those 3 guys, against a Bears defense that on the interior has Grady Jarrett, who is an aging player, but I ain't going to write off Grady Jarrett until he retires. Grady Jarrett is a football player. And one of my guys and you know how I love identifying these interior defensive linemen in the draft that the Vikings never pick, and they always go to some team that I hate, and it's always the Eagles or the Bears. Gervon Dexter is a very underrated player, but between Donovan Jackson, the rookie, Ryan Kelly, and Will Fries, collectively, they gave up 1 pressure in that entire game. Of those 7 pressures, 4 were Justin School, who is a backup, who is filling in for Christian Darrisaw, who I still believe is ready to go coming back from the ACO, but they said Soldier Field, the turf is rough. They had to resod the field because Oasis and System of a Down on separate nights because that would be a very weird doubleheader of a concert. Tore up the field. They had to resod everything. I think that was factored into the equation of why Darrisaw didn't play. He was a full participant in practice today. So if you get CD back out there, if you watch Brian Baldinger, his Instagram breakdowns, which I love because it's just him with his phone recording the screen.
Yes,
it's like
I love his breakdown.
It's so janky and it's fantastic. I love Baldy, but he is maybe the biggest Christian Darrisaw fan outside the state of Minnesota. If we get CD back, Brian O'Neill is a multiple-time Pro Bowl right tackle, and if that interior offensive line can continue playing at 85% the capacity that they played in that first game, I don't see how Atlanta, who it's been like 10, 12 years since they've had a guy with like more than 8 sacks or something like that. Like it's been rough. Now they drafted James Pierce Jr. They drafted Jalon Walker, I want to say. So they got some guys that they can start mixing in. But again, they the Bucs without Tristan Wirfs, without their left tackle, they only mustered 3 pressures against the Bucs. Now they did a very nice job. Baker Mayfield had a terribly inefficient day. Like I said, I like Atlanta. Their secondary, Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell. They got a couple rookies, Billy Bowman Jr., Xavier Watts. So I like them on the back end. But I think if the interior guys do what they did on Monday night, if we get CD back, McCarthy will have better protection throughout the game. He worked through those early nerves. He hadn't played a football game in 609 days. So like you get that out of the way. You win NFC Offensive Player of the Week. You orchestrate this comeback. You're in conversation with Steve Young and all that. So he should be over the nerves, back, more comfortable. He's at home, so you get the benefit of the crowd and the skull chant. I think you give him that proper protection. Kevin O'Connell, he's not going to come out calling this soft Mickey Mouse play calling that he was in the first half of that game where, we got to protect JJ. It's like, no, just let the boy throw. Let the boy throw.
And
Give
run.
Jordan Mason the rock because that dude is nasty. Nasty. He's just a hammerhead coming out of the backfield. So I feel like I say this every week when I don't pick the game. The Vikings should win this game. But I love Michael Penix. I'm a big Michael Penix guy. Bijan Robinson is a talented dude. Drake London is injured, but he practiced. I don't know if he was. I think he was a limited participant in practice. They're saying he's tough. We expect him to play, so we'll see.
There's still a couple of days left, for the game. So yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. The Falcons can win this game, but the Vikings should win this game. Is how I can summarize all of that.
I don't know. I think the Vikings are going to win this game easily, but that's my take as a noob. So it's fine.
All right. Next up, we got Monday Night Football double header. Which I looked at the schedule maybe like a week ago. There's a lot of Monday Night Football doubleheaders this year, more than usual. I feel like there's only like 1 or 2.
Why do they do that? It's like, why make me choose between 2 games on a Monday night? Why? This is not the NBA.
Now, I will say, at least with this one, there's the start time is 3 hours different. So, like, theoretically, you can watch both games, but as usual, the late game is the Raiders, and the Raiders are maybe better this year, hopefully better with Pistol Pete Carroll. But so hopefully that's a good game. We got 2 good coaches.
Listen, no disrespect to the Texans. A lot of disrespect to the Buccaneers, but I don't give a shit about that game. I don't give a shit about the Buccaneers at Texas. I'd rather watch the Chargers versus the Raiders. And it sucks that it's going to be at 10 o'clock at night because I got to work the next day. I can't stay up until like 2 o'clock in the morning watching a football game on a Monday night.
You could.
I mean, I can, but I shouldn't. I mean, I don't think my wife's going to be happy when she walks out of the bedroom and sees me just pass out drunk on the couch on a Monday night watching the football game.
Take a nap.
When?
I don't know. You took a nap before we started recording tonight and last night when we started recording.
Wasn't on purpose. It was an accidental nap. I just passed out.
Well, maybe you'll take an accidental nap tomorrow. Or on Monday.
Anyways, we're picking which one first, the Buccaneers Texans?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm picking the Buccaneers. I mean, it's Baker Mayfield. It's like you said, you like the Texans defense, and that's all fine and dandy, but I don't think the Texans defense can handle Baker Mayfield in that offense right now.
I don't like Tampa Bay or the Texans defense. I love the Texans defense. I like everything about the Texans except the offensive line, which is probably the worst offensive line in football that they made actively worse for reasons that I will not relitigate as much as I want to. You traded a 6th-round pick for Ed Ingram that the Vikings turned around and traded to acquire Jordan Mason, who is an absolute hammerhead out of the backfield. Joe Mixon's hurt. You could have used a running back. Now, granted, I'm rooting for Nick Chubb. We're all rooting for Nick Chubb to have the bounce back from his injuries. But you could have just traded that 6th-round pick and got Jordan Mason instead of trading for maybe the worst guard in the entire league, but that's what they want to do. However, Tampa Bay, they only had 3 pressures in week 1. For whatever reason, I'm fixated on the pressures right now. They only had 3 pressures in week 1 against Atlanta, who also has a banged up offensive line. They also lost Drew Dahlman to the Bears in free agency. So it's not like they got the best offensive line in the league just stonewalling them. So I expect Tampa to get more pressure than they got because they're going up against the worst offensive line maybe in the history of football. But that Texans defense, Baker against the Falcons defense, terribly inefficient. He had the 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. He got it done when he needed to because he's Baker and he's got that moxie. You know anything about Baker Mayfield, you know he's got that moxie. But
Yeah, that moxie's called smelling salts.
Yes. He's got to bring his own now. Team cannot supply him, but that's fine. He's got a multi-million-dollar contract. I'm going to pick the Texans. I think the defense gets it done. We saw him in that playoff game last year. Justin Herbert, for as much of a certified Justin Herbert hater as I am, he only threw 3 interceptions in the regular season, turned around threw 4 in that playoff game to the Texans. That defense is for real. I think they can fluster Baker, keep him as inefficient as he was week 1, but probably force a turnover, and they're at home. I think the defense is strong enough to get it done in this particular case.
I want to take a whatever it's called. I'm going to step aside for a second and actually, I didn't see this earlier today because, I had some issues with my phone today. But 49ers head coach Kai Shanahan, per Adam Schefter, told the reporters that Brock Purdy could miss multiple weeks and that he's a long shot to play Sunday at New Orleans with that shoulder and toe injuries. He got toe injuries?
It's Mac Jones season, baby.
Oof.
We might be in store for a Mac Jones gritty. We haven't seen one of those since the Pro Bowl in 2021.
Another one that I did miss was Dallas cornerback Darren Bland.
Did I not mention that in the because that was, to me, that was worth mentioning in that Cowboys game is DaRon Bland being out. But I mean, you still got Trayvon Diggs, who you could just man him up on Malik Neighbors. But yeah, DaRon Bland, that's a tough loss for the Cowboys, at least in the interim until he gets back.
Yeah, sorry for that. That injury intermission. I just didn't see those posts early before. So yeah, I'm sticking with my picks, but I'll say that the 49ers Saints games just got a lot more, less, I should say, interesting. I have nothing else to add to the Buccaneers and Texans game. I will not be watching that game. I will be watching Monday Night Raw. That's on Netflix. During that game, I do not care about the Buccaneers. I do not care about the Texans. I'll probably just have it on the background just in case. Keep my eye out on it. But I do like the other game, like I said earlier.
Chargers, Raiders. Who you got?
Yes. I got the Chargers. I got the Chargers to continue to gain momentum. This will be in Vegas. So the Raiders are going to be having a home opener. I don't think they're going to win, but it's going to be one of those games that's going to be fun. It could be, Vikings Bears levels of fun in that game. It could be.
Was that fun?
Ravens. What?
Was that fun?
Well, it was for me. I know it was stressful for you.
It was fun. It was fun for about 8 to 12 minutes in there when JJ McCarthy was just going Super Saiyan. Then it got stressful again. But
I'm going to say this. If the Bills and the Ravens Sunday Night Football game was like you said, the heavyweight fight, this is like the middleweight fight that I'm going to be loving. It's in the middle of the card, and it's actually sometimes better than the actual main event. That's what I'm looking at this game as. Chargers, Raiders. I'm picking the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm picking the Chargers. I don't even think it's going to be close. Geno is not going to have anywhere near the amount of success that he had in week 1. Now, I do trust Pete Carroll. So this is not necessarily the same old Raiders. But I don't think they got the pieces to contend with the Chargers right now. You got Daddy Harbaugh and his Mighty Men, which sounds like a gay porno, but they're going to have an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, and they're going to come out and do Jim Harbaugh shit. And again, Justin Herbert is a monster at the very least in the regular season. I think he can get things done against that Raiders defense. And I think the Chargers defense, it's at least a step above the Patriots defense, if not 4 or 5 steps above. I think they're going to pick Geno Smith off. At least Geno's going to have at least one pick in the red zone, and I think the Chargers win by double digits. But the two things I want to look for, I want to see Ashton Genty. He only had about 20 yards in his debut, and I want to see him do more, even against a very good Chargers defense. And Quentin Johnston, much maligned in his first couple years, a lot of drops, but he had sort of a breakout performance against the Chiefs in Brazil. So, and I loved him in college. I really wanted the Vikings to draft him. So I'm rooting for him to keep that going.
I want to see Out pancake some defenders. That's what I want to see.
Who?
Out.
Oh, yeah.
How you pronounce it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's
That's
a monster.
what I want to see.
He is a monster.
That's what I want to see. He is a literal monster. How tall is he? He's like 7 foot tall. He's like giant. It's like the best thing that the Chargers have on that offensive line. That's just incredible. I love offensive line play. I love that you talked about the Baldy analysis earlier. I love it because he's one of those few people that actually analyzes the linemen and the tackles, and it's like this is an important part of football that a lot of people take for granted. Analysts don't talk about. Analysts on this TV shows are always talking about the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and running backs. They don't talk about the linemen a lot, and they should. The linemen make things happen.
It's picking up steam. Like you got Baldy doing his stuff, but like Pat McAfee for years now, when I don't know if they're still doing it this year, but AQ Shipley would come on and they would break down the trenches. Purple Daily that I watch every single day during the season, Alex Boone comes on and they break down offensive line play. And then the two of them and Jeremiah Searles, who's also a former guard, the O-line committee, which I cannot recommend more highly, they do film breakdowns every week of offensive line play. And it's just like, as a fan for 20 years, like I didn't know anything about offensive line play. You think it's just like 5 fat guys over here, 4 slightly less fat guys over here, just car crashing on every play. But it's like, it's an intense chess game going on, the twist and the stunts and like how the offensive line has to move as a single unit, the different types with pulling guys, running duo, running power, like the amount of different little, like you said, the mechanics, the details that go into blocking it's very underrated. It's super fascinating. I should have by the time this goes up, I want to have a breakdown of pass protection on JJ McCarthy's first touchdown, because it was a thing of beauty. The Bears, they ran a double mug look and ran a twist out of a double mug look, and the offensive line and Jordan Mason picked it up perfectly. I love watching film breakdowns of the offensive line. It's beautiful.
Me too. I love it, especially when you have someone that was a former offensive lineman talking. They should just use all the terminology that, as a fan that has never played the game professionally or in high school, because there was no high school football teams here in Puerto Rico. It's just interesting, and it's fascinating to me when I see them analyzing and breaking them down and see how these men just like they're juggernauts fighting against each other, trying to get things done and opening the holes or protecting the quarterback. That's my favorite aspect of the game right now. So we got to do more. Respect the linemen, respect the offensive linemen, respect the tackles, respect the defensive linemen. Just make sure that the trenches are respected.
It all starts up front. I say it all the time. Like, you're not going to win the championship if you're not playing good in the trenches. It's just not possible. You can make the playoffs, but you are not going to win in the playoffs Why are the Eagles as good as they are? Because they have the best offensive line in football, and they have one of the best defensive lines in football. And last year, I think you could argue that they had the best defensive line rotation. You're not going to beat
Yeah,
it. You can't
we
beat it.
missed. We lost a couple of guys in that rotation, but especially very, very good guys that I'm still mad about. But we should be able to handle it back.
Howie
I
Roseman,
would love to do.
he's always got more stock in the pantry.
Yeah,
Always got more stock.
I would love to do a breakdown of each offensive line and defensive line and see where each team stands. We all know where you stand when it comes to the worst offensive line in the NFL, but
No, we know where that's not where I stand. That is a fact. That is a fact of life.
I would love to do that one time. Just like break down every offensive line and defensive line for once for every team. Maybe at the end of the season, like when when things slow down, that should be good. That should be good.
Yeah. Well, that's all the games. Do you have any last second thoughts or predictions?
Nah, not really. Not this season. It's too early for predictions. Most of the predictions I do at this point are just for fun, shits and giggles. Um, Mostly just whether a game will be close or not. I can joke around and say like, "Oh, bet the under" and stuff like that. But no predictions, nothing specific. Uh, on paper, this feels like one of those boring weeks. But like you said, last week also on paper felt like a boring week, but it ended up being one of the best weeks in football. We had 6 divisional games this week. We had 8 last week. It felt like a divisional week last week, week 1. Like we have Patriots, Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Browns, Ravens, Giants, Cowboys, Bears, Lions, and then the Chargers, Raiders games at the end that we talked about. I love divisional games. They're my favorite aspect of the game because they're always the toughest games for teams to have, and they're important too for records and tiebreakers. So that's always fun to me. And I still think they should be able to balance out the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games. And there's too many 1 o'clock games going on at the same time.
Don't
Um,
get me started. Don't get me
but
started.
but we'll see how we
There's only
do.
3 4 o'clock. Every team is playing. There's no buys. There should be more than 3 4
Yeah,
o'clock games. I don't
at least
understand.
5. There's 5 4 o'clock games. That's
At
it.
least we got Eagles Chiefs. Like at least there's like a heavy hitter. It's not just
Yeah.
the Raiders and the Broncos and the Chargers and then like the Cowboys, because the Cowboys are always in America's game of the week and it's like Cowboys Giants or something. Like at least we got a serious heavy hitter.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think that's it for me. I have no more comments or predictions. I love football. That's all I'm going to say. I can't wait for this week and see what happens. Can't wait to see if we beat the Chiefs, if the Eagles beat the Chiefs. I can't wait to see if the Cowboys are able to continue their dominant, their their run as a hey, we're a good team again, stuff like that. As you said, they were injured last year, so people thought they were dog shit, but they didn't take the accountability of the fact that they were mostly injured. Um, see what happens with the 49ers. And I can't wait to see what happens to all these teams and see where we end up before week 3.
All right, well, that does it. First noob football picks of the season. We are now officially all the way back. Football is all the way back. Hopefully, these games pan out as another electrifying week of football. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tell your friends. And until next time, take it easy, football heads.
God bless football.
Skol Vikings.